The one thing I did that still keeps me up at night happened when I thought I was being practical. I was 27, working my first real job after years of bouncing between contracts, finally feeling like an adult. I lived alone, paid my bills on time, meal prepped on Sundays. From the outside, I was stable. Inside, I was exhausted. My dad had been sick on and off for years, and I was the one everyone leaned on. I answered the late-night calls, handled paperwork, drove him to appointments. I told myself I could handle it. I always did. One Thursday afternoon, my phone rang during a meeting. I ignored it. Then it rang again and again. I silenced it, annoyed, thinking I'd call back later. When the meeting ended, I checked my voicemail. It was my dad's neighbor, her voice shaky, saying he'd fallen and wasn't answering the door. I remember staring at my phone, calculating. I had a deadline, a presentation the next morning. I told myself he'd probably already been helped. I waited 2 hours before leaving. By the time I got there, the ambulance lights were gone. The neighbor met me outside and said they'd taken him to the hospital. He'd been on the floor for hours, dehydrated, confused. He kept asking why I hadn't come sooner. I sat by his bed while he slept, guilt curling in my chest, telling myself it was just bad timing. He never fully recovered. The fall accelerated everything. Within a year, he needed full-time care. He didn't remember the meeting I skipped or the deadlines I met, but I remembered every minute I chose work over that phone call. Every excuse I made to myself. He passed away 3 years later. Peacefully, they said. I held his hand and told him I loved him, and he smiled, but I don't know if he knew who I was in that moment. After the funeral, people told me I'd done my best, that I'd been such a good child, that no one can be everywhere at once. I nodded and thanked them. But some nights, when everything is quiet, I replay that afternoon. The buzzing phone, the decision to wait. I imagine a version of me who stood up mid-meeting and walked out without explaining. Maybe it wouldn't have changed the outcome. Maybe it would have. I don't live in regret every day. I've learned to forgive myself most of the time. But that moment lives in me, a reminder that practicality has a cost, and sometimes you only realize what it was after you've already paid it.